Oh yeah!
We are here!
We're back
We are back?
on 420.
420?
What?
You say.
Okay, there's no significance to that, guys.
It's just another Monday.
It's just,
I don't know what you're
It
talking
is just
about,
another
sir.
Monday, baby.
Yeah. Shout out to all my Irie peoples out there celebrating what should be celebrated daily with moderation.
Pull up.
and legally here in good old city of Santana. So shout out to all the people here. Welcome to It's Happening Show Reloaded. I'm Jose Gloria, joined by Dylan.
Hello.
Dylan Thompson, to be clear. Oh, dang, I
Extraordinaire.
I'm becoming you.
Oh boy.
Like slowly but surely, you know? Like,
Yeah, we should switch the lines.
Yeah.
I'll be the vibrations that are inside and all around us. You know? And
happening within me, without me, and all around me. It's happening. We have a fantabulous show for you tonight, y'all. We have the one and only Isuri Ramos. She will be with us momentarily, and we're going to be talking all things to do with Santana politics, and the great work she's led over the years, and most recently with Chispa.
Nice.
And here and all over. So, yeah, I wanted to take it down a notch, a couple notches.
Can you bring it back, though? But can you bring it back?
Oh, my God. Things are so crazy right now.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we did our last show, but we are still hanging on. The doomsday clock is
ticking
right there.
away,
Yeah, 0.001.
ever approaching midnight.
Getting closer to
Yeah.
It's a crazy time to be alive for sure. It's like I shared a meme recently with that girl like just like heading to work and then explosions happening in the background. It's like the World War III and then me heading to work like that. I felt seen in that meme. These things do that for us. That amongst other things, but it's really been shocking with the devastation in Lebanon, the feud between the Pope and Trump.
Oh,
Holy moly!
The Dr. Trump, you mean?
The Dr. Trump meme. Trump is the shit sandwich gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, he's like, this isn't even my final form, and he transforms into even more deranged weirdo. Yeah, it's gotten pretty bad, man. Especially with one thing I want to touch on in this Iran stuff is I heard a really interesting analysis from Richard Medhurst about U.S.'s long-term strategy that this Iran stuff and Venezuela, Ukraine, they all tie together allegedly, according to this guy. Because apparently now the U.S., because of a lot of these energy disruptions, remember Ukraine wars stopped Russia from selling to Europe. And now we seized Venezuela. We have some influence over how they're selling their oil now. And now with the close of the Strait of Hormuz and strikes that Iran has done against Bahrain, basically U.S. is in a dominating position with it's kind of LNG. It's a certain kind of oil product that some of our BRIC competitors use, and by basically disrupting up to 30% of that, they can try to force our enemies and our vassals like Europe to start purchasing U.S. Energy at using the U.S. dollar. So it bolsters our economy and does all this stuff. So it's on one hand, your 401k isn't going to crash anytime soon if things stabilize, but at what cost? They're basically using the Navy and the military to raid Russian ships and basically stop their competitors from being able to sell oil as a way to maintain hegemony in the world. It's kind of a sick thing. And I always think about this because as you get older, the more you invest in a retirement, you're almost signing up for the empire, because it's that's the mechanism by which they stabilize the stock market is through military now. We've evolved into a pirate state. So it's kind of sick. But yeah.
And this whole war is really showing the cards of the imperialistic tendencies that still existed, beyond, Britain. It's Britain and the whole imperial movement that, that they were doing with Portugal and Spain, that ended, but then corporate kind of imperialism took over.
Neoliberal style colonialism, neo-colonialism.
Democrats and Republicans. Of course, the whole communism fight that happened and toppled a lot of countries that then has led to the destabilization and led to immigration, needs because of them, through trying to protect big fruit or big agriculture, or in the case of Cuba, big mafia and casinos and debauchery, then we were able to impose democracy and then root out this evil, communism, or socialism that very much tended to be for the people. And it's important to keep that into perspective as we enter into this new paradigm where they try to divide us up into Marxist versus this or that. But the pink scare has been around for a long time, and it's all been a narrative or a rhetoric, because what you're mentioning right now is much more of what's happening behind the scenes when we're not paying attention. There's these folks that are, moving money around, and even our money to help, provide more war and fear and, all sorts of, the breakdown of society, which is, again, why the Pope in this moment coming up and saying hey, remember, this is what it's all about, is a very much in contrast to the narrative that Trump wants to paint, that he is a king, he is a dictator, and he can do whatever he wants and nobody can stop him.
He can end civilizations, apparently.
If he wants, but it's we'll see what happens with, a lot to be said, of course, about the Strait, but as it remains, there's a blockade on Iran, and there's the Strait of Hormuz is not letting any ships go through, and there's a lot of people that are literally conserving energy because they can't afford to consider that things are going to go back to normal. Sadly, this thing could end next week, or it's very much close to being over. Just a few more days. But the reality is, people have are going to suffer the ramifications of this, and America, and the views of the world, is going to suffer for many, many years to go, much longer after Trump is long gone. So that is the state of the world, but there's a lot of things that we can't control, but there's things that we can't control locally. So I'm excited to get into the next conversation. But
indeed.
But before that, I did want to just mention, of course, big election coming up in the primaries here locally.
Yeah.
Of course, there's the Jesse Lopez versus Peñalosa campaigns that are going to see who's going to move on for the general November elections. And then, of course, there is the state Senate race, but cannot, of course, forget about the big governor's races that is having all sorts of twists and turns. And Javier Becerra is all of a sudden coming out as a clear, second place, perhaps even when it's all seen before when we started that Katie Porter was going to run away with it, and it was hers to lose. And boy, did she lose her footing. But recently, with the Swalwell allegations that arose, dropped out of the race, dropped out of Congress altogether. Damn. And really leaves a void that then everybody picked up a little bit, but Becerra picked up like 9 points, and Steyer still is the first place, but not by a lot. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, a little free for all now that Gav has moved on.
The Gavinator.
Gavster. Yep.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting, but without further ado, man, this next guest here today, very excited and happy to have known her for many years, working alongside and co-creating a lot of beautiful things, but also like her own journey in academia. We're talking, of course, about Isuri Ramos, who's a proud product of the city of Santana, its schools, resilient neighborhoods, and rich culture. So after completing degrees in international studies of political science and urban studies and planning at University of California, San Diego, Isuri then has served on countless leadership roles, including nonprofit boards and city commissions, and led successful initiatives alongside community members to physically improve neighborhoods and the quality of life for residents. She's lived in Ward 6 for nearly 5 years and organized alongside tenants of Ward 6 for 5 years before that. And then currently, of course, she is the executive director at Chispa, planning commissioner and candidate for candidacy of Ward 6 here in Santana.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Isuri Ramos.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Welcome.
We're very happy that the stars aligned and we're able to, lock you in. You're a busy woman these days, as it turns out. It takes a lot to run, just slightly. But I would love to hear a little bit about you, because I was going to mention, and you run, with the in Santana with the different route clubs. So please let us and the audience know a little bit about yourself and what you bring to this here show. It's happening here tonight.
Yeah, of course. I'll try to keep it short because there's a lot to say. But I'm born and raised in Santana, and I'm so proud to say that. So I grew up in the mini neighborhood. My family laid roots in Santana nearly 4 decades ago, and like many immigrants that came to Santana, they landed on Mini Street. So one day my family went to the Santana Hospital, if any of you remember the Santana Hospital, and came back with me. So I spent my first few years of life in the Mini Street neighborhood, and then the rest of my years were mostly spent in the Willard neighborhood. And when I think of my childhood, I really think a lot about what the city has been able to provide. And growing up, I spent a lot of my time at the Santana Public Library. So I remember the Santana Public Library when it was open on Sundays. And I was there probably 5 out of 7 days of the week, getting homework help, doing arts and crafts on Saturday mornings, during story time, during the summer, being able to do all of the cool just activities that they would bring. And as a teenager, I spent a lot of my time at the Jerome Center. So I was a part of the Jerome Boxing Club. And through that time there, I really learned what self-discipline means. I learned both why it's important and everything that you're able to accomplish through it. Was also a part of just really active in high school. I went to Santana High School, once a saint, always a saint.
Damn, Santana High School.
Anyone here that's watching, if you're a saint, I also want to give a quick shout out before I forget to my friends that are watching. I got some friends like Sandra is watching while she's cooking.
Woo!
Others are tuning in. We heard we might have the highest viewership tonight, so I'm excited.
So.
Yeah.
Record.
Yeah, breaking records tonight. Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah. Man, so much, but yeah, please.
Yeah. So I was at Santana High School, and I recently had a conversation with somebody, and they just reminded me that growing up, I had a lot of mentors. I had people that chose to invest their time in me, people like those at the public library. My late coach, Jose Gatoroman Sr., who just really, people that impacted me in so many ways. And this person reminded me that I am where I am today because of those mentors, because of that investment. And I'm just really proud of it. And this is why I say that I'm born and raised in Santana, really a product of the city. Everything that the city was able to provide, like the youth boxing program at the Jerome Center, the public library. And it's really, like when we often hear that it takes a village, and as I think about my upbringing, it really was a village, and that village was made up of people in Santana. So I'm really proud to say that, like, the city literally raised me, and I think that just really, like, that really is a deep part of who I am, and just has helped shape where I am now. So, like you said, I was at UC San Diego. Did international studies with a focus in political science, and then did urban studies and planning. And it was really that major that helped me understand more of my own lived experiences in the Willard neighborhood. So a neighborhood that's this perfect square, very dense apartment buildings. There's a lot of overcrowding, folks that are low income, mixed status households. And I grew up seeing that, and to me that was very normal. And I didn't think much of it because I saw people's resilience every day. And it just... Yeah, like all of just my upbringing and everything that I saw helped me like understand how the people of Santana have really built the city, like resilient folks that have made it the beautiful cultural hub that it is today. And that's why for me, right after school, it was so easy to be able to say yes to my first job working in Santana, working as a community organizer in the Lacey neighborhood. So there I was working for a nonprofit, the Kennedy Commission that does affordable housing advocacy. And I spent 5 years as an organizer, organizing with just a badass group of señoras that are now known as Vela, Vecindario Lacey en Acción. And in those 5 years, we were able to still be kids playing out. And I live so close to it now, and I'm just so proud to see it because you always see families and kids there. And it's not just being used, but it was also designed by those families and kids. We had a planning meeting for that park, and we had over 40 people there, which was moms, but also their children because they were on spring break. And at the time, I remember the city came with their rendering, and they said, "This is a beautiful park we have for you." And the community said, "It's great, but it's not exactly what we have in mind. We want to see a skating bowl there because we have a lot of kids in this neighborhood that skate, and we want to ensure that they have somewhere to do that." And some of the moms, I remember they said, "My kid right now is 5 years old. They don't skate yet, but I know that one day they might want to, and I want to make sure that the children that are skating, the kids that are skating today have something to use, but that I'm also thinking about my kids in the future." So that's really just a park I'm super proud of. We also brought the Garfield Wellness Center, which at the time and may still be the only wellness center that has its own building outside of the school. And we also brought affordable housing to the neighborhood. We brought Legacy Square, which is an affordable housing development right on San Island Boulevard in French. And super proud of that development as well. It's an award-winning one. I'm proud of it because that is a beautiful example of what we can accomplish when developers come together to meet and work with the community. So at the time, we said, "You're planning to build affordable housing, that is great. And if we want to ensure that people that live in this neighborhood can one day qualify to live there too, we need to make sure that the units you're going to provide are at the lowest rents and that they're also larger unit types, that they're 3 and 4 bedrooms. And when you hear that, you might think, why is that important? And it's important because in affordable housing developments, there's rules about how many people can live there based on how many rooms there are. So we wanted to ensure that the larger families in the neighborhood could also one day access those units. And the developer said, okay, let me see what I can do. And when you hear that, you often think, okay, we're just gonna get the runaround. But the developer actually came back and said, look, I was able to do everything you asked me to. And we were so happy. And then they came back again and they said, I found a way to do even more. So every time I look at that development, to me, it's just a beautiful example of what's possible when you work with community. And anytime somebody says, we can't do this, we can't do that, I think back to that development. And again, just for me, it's really special anytime I go through the Lacey neighborhood to see how it's changed, know that I was a part of that work, and to also now know that I'm running for Santana City Council and to represent that neighborhood. That means so much to me. But yeah, I did that, and at the same time, I was a housing commissioner for the city. Now I'm the chair of the planning commission, the executive director at Chispa.
Okay.
So there's a lot.
What did you not do? Yeah.
I have to think about that one. I have to think about that might be a shorter list. There's a lot.
Yeah, basically.
President of the PTA.
No, I was actually voted most likely to impress your parents.
Dude,
there you go.
I'm not surprised.
I'll have to bring the yearbook.
Dude,
No shocker there. Yeah, I got it.
You're talking to Saints royalty.
There's a lot that's happened over the last 10 years. And when I think about it, I'm really proud to be able to point to results I've delivered over the last 10 years. Wow. Results I've delivered as a youth on what it would take for the city of Santana to be a sanctuary city. And at the time I was young, and city staff, and there's still city staff, they might remember, put it on the agenda and we had a discussion, but it didn't go anywhere because we were just youth commissioners. But I vividly remember that conversation and the desire from the commission at the time to do something. And I think we told staff, can you please tell the city council that this is something we would like to see? Since then I've been a housing commissioner, so I was doing that work while I was also organizing on the ground, was able to learn more. We provided TDBG funding to the Public Law Center that could provide eviction defense, the only legal service provider that's able to provide that to undocumented residents because of their funding. Was now the chair of the Planning Commission, very proud to be there, was appointed by Councilwoman Lopez, go Jessie, right when she got elected, and have been there for 5 years and have been able to use my urban planning literal degree and able to also use the knowledge that I've gained from the work that I've done on the ground. So yeah, I enjoy being able to talk about what's happened over the last 10 years as an organizer, as an advocate, as a nonprofit leader, commissioner, and now as a candidate. I'm really proud to say that I'm a lifelong resident of the city and that I've been delivering results. So when I think about, you know me, Jose, I like to say things as they are, and I like to commit to what I can do and, try not to overcommit. But when I talk to people now, I'm excited and they ask me, what are you going to do, or why are you running for council? I'm excited to be able to say, I want to tell you what I have done. And I want to tell you that now I'm running because I want to build on all of that. And it's just a very different conversation I have with people. I just had this conversation with a small business owner in downtown. I took this watch and I asked him, can you put a battery in it? And at the end, I told him, hey, I'm also running for council to represent this area. And he told me, when people tell me they're running, I always wonder, what are they going to do? and he said, I always ask them, what have you done?
Yeah.
And I told them, well, you know what? Let me tell you what I've done. And we were right at the corner of 4th and French. I said, you see that apartment building there? You see that park? I help bring those things to the neighborhood. And he was just super excited because you don't hear that often. We see people running for office and they tell us what they want to do and why they're running. And many run with great intentions. But you rarely hear people say, I'm running, and let me show you what I've done over the last 10 years before I wasn't elected. And let me tell you what I want to do now.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true.
Dare I say you may be slightly overqualified for the council seat?
Now you're overqualified.
Yeah. I think governorship is much more.
I'd say I'm well qualified, and I was just talking about this with someone. everything I've done up until this moment seems to have led to this. And I didn't grow up thinking I want to be on the Santana City Council, but all of the experience I've gained over the last 10 years, again, as a youth leader, as an advocate, as a community organizer, a city commissioner, a nonprofit leader.
Yeah.
All of that, plus the lived experience of like growing up in Santana, growing up on Mini Street, growing up in the Willard neighborhood, like seeing firsthand how resilient people are because some of our systems haven't been serving them as they should. Like, I think that makes me the most qualified.
Absolutely.
My lived experience, like, in Santana. Show it off, I'm sorry.
Well, you have to. You're
First
running.
Of all, give me the 15-minute, like, boom, like, you got it. And so that's the difference between, like, that homegrown leadership that we look for and seek from our elected officials. And not only just that you were born and raised here, but also that your values and your principles and the works that that you have done speaks for itself. And there's a lot of folks that jump into this game because they have connections with this person or that entity or this entity. But it's about not so much about what they're going to do right now, but that's the first step into a long line of steps towards getting to wherever it is that they want. And so, the type of candidates, and this goes in every which way, it's not any blue will do. We're past that. It's about, who's going to stand with the community when, the push comes to shove, and when the special interests, like in the case of rent control and other issues that you personally and other folks were very much involved with, have, and then that's where the lines have been drawn. But I want to give a chance for Dylan to kind of share, because there's a lot that you said right there, and in particular around the issue of housing, because you mentioned there's a right way to do it, and you were very much went to school for it, and around with Kennedy Commission, put your mark on a lot of good things, including inclusionary housing ordinances and things of that nature. But now with the rent control thing, like, things are really happening in Santana, but there's still challenges, right, Dylan?
Yeah.
And so whether we can do it on the local and the state level, those are the questions.
True.
I think we'd love to ask.
You kind of mentioned a few things, Isuri, like overcrowding, low-income families, large family sizes. These are unique characteristics to Santa Ana's housing. I reviewed like the previous housing element and said like the average family size is like 4.5-ish around there. So it's really large, like dense communities. Yeah. But then when you review the housing element, it just seems like most of the housing is geared toward market rate or of housing that is not affordable to the vast majority of families in Santa Ana. I'm just trying to figure out, how do we reconcile, like, why are the plans like that versus what we need? We need things like that address those very low income, large family size stuff, right? But why does the plan look like that? I guess maybe why is there such a large push for the market rate only? Is it just because the way housing production is set up, or do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so the housing element is a guiding document for the city, and it essentially explains how we're going to meet the RENA numbers. So that may be part of why when you read it, it seemed that way. Mm-hmm. So I was on the planning commission, on the planning commission at the time when the housing element was approved, and I and other commissioners did speak heavily about the need for additional affordable housing. Mm-hmm. I'll also say that when I was reviewing that document, I was actually writing housing elements for other cities. I was a consultant for a year. So I wrote part of the element for the city of Irvine and the city of Victorville. So I have the technical understanding as well.
Oh, cool.
But I will say that the implementation of the housing element and the housing that gets built and developed is really going to come down to city council priorities. And when we look at our RENA numbers, you'll sometimes hear that the city of Santa Ana has already built the affordable housing we need. And if you just look at the numbers, sure, you can say that. But if you also look at the numbers for housing that's needed at other income levels, we can say the exact same thing. And we can say it like much louder and much stronger because the number of units that we have at those higher income levels, like we've met them in the past. When you look at how much we're surpassing the other goals, it's not equitable.
Right.
So
exactly.
I don't just think of the arena numbers, but if we want to talk about the arena numbers, then we have to look at the full picture.
Yeah, and those RENA numbers that's like SCAG sets those numbers.
Yes,
right?
those are set by SCAG, and when you're actually a bit lower because of that. And when I think of the need, if you walk through neighborhoods in our city, you'll see what the need is.
Oh yeah.
We need more affordable housing, and at the end of the
Definitely.
day, it comes down to the city council providing direction to staff to say, hey, we want to see more affordable housing. And we also have to talk about the affordable housing levels. There are different levels to affordable housing, and we need to ensure that we're providing affordable housing that's affordable to people at all income levels.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I thought it is kind of weird intuitively to me to have a necessity of life like not affordable on average. It just seems weird. But then, like you're saying, these levels of because like say maybe the biggest bucket of these low income housing units, they're still conditional, right? You mentioned like family size
Yes.
as one of the conditions, right? But there's others, right? That could stop a family that probably doesn't need it from qualifying, I imagine. Maybe income.
Yeah. So oftentimes you have to make at minimum two times what the rent is. You have to be able to prove you have that income. If you're going for a 2-bedroom, but you have a family of 6, you can't live in a 2-bedroom. So there's all these things. Like you have to be very
like fall
uniquely
into,
positioned.
Right,
Yeah, you have to fall into
Very
like all
narrow.
these rules and regulations to be able to qualify. And as an organizer, when we were advocating for new affordable housing, I would have, people in the community say, will I ever qualify? Like I'm advocating for this housing. Will I one day be able to live in it? And I said, and I had to be honest, and I was like, I don't know that you specifically will be able to live in it. There's also no guarantee that even if you qualify, you'll get selected,
Right.
because there's such high demand and not enough units.
Right.
But I'm very happy to say that there were families that actually got selected to live in these units, because at the same time that we were advocating for the development of affordable housing, we were also working directly with these individuals and their families to help them be prepared so that when that application came out, they were in a good spot and they had everything they needed and they could actually be able to move in.
Right. That helps. It does.
Yeah, it once you start getting into it, and you would know better than us and many people when it comes to the challenges of actually getting housing built, and even when you do get it built, how to create those pathways for the community to even have access to it. One, to know about these things. Two, to like prep themselves financially and economically to to apply for them, and also like even just the hand holding around it. But we've seen like positive aspects of it. So I definitely want to talk about this, but also want to talk about like your experience with rent control and some of the ways that has helped to alleviate housing. So I don't know. Like we could just jump into it. So rent control, Santa Ana, like the city that has it in, I believe, all of Orange County, and 3% tops, like topped out per year, right, for raises, give or take. It took a lot. It took Jesse Lopez facing a recall and beating it. It took a referendum to make it so that it's 5 votes in order to remove it, so that these people like leave us the F alone. Because what it came down to was these special interests, the landlord and the realtors, just dumping hundreds of thousands of dollars into try to elect candidates that would support it, but also defeat these measures that were very much supported by the community, and it showed in the last election. But you had were very much one of the people that brought it to life and aside from its inception. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about your history with it and how that addresses the housing justice work that you've championed.
Yeah, of course. I was very involved in the 2018 rent control effort. And this was happening at the same time that I was organizing in the Lacey neighborhood alongside Vela. And at the time we were doing an annual survey in the Lacey neighborhood and literally knocking on doors and asking people about their housing conditions and learning more about their rent and their income. And it was very clear that for many of them, they were one paycheck away from losing their home. They were one rent increase away from losing their home, from potentially becoming homeless. And we knew that rent control was a policy that was needed, not just rent control, but also just cause eviction protections. There were also people that were being evicted without cause, which again could, it's so hard to get housing. And there were people that would tell us, if I get evicted, I am going to be homeless. Like, I am going to have nowhere to go. I'm going to be out on the street. So in the work that we were doing, it was very clear that we needed rent control. We needed just cause evictions. And we worked together along with many other organizations. We saw the first large effort in 2018, but people had been talking about rent control 10 years prior. People had been talking about rent control in the 80s, 90s.
Right.
We know, we have leaders, like community leaders that are still with us, like Rosa Pisano, who was a part of those like efforts in the 80s, 90s. So rent control wasn't this novel idea. It's something that everybody knew we needed. And at the time, there was a signature gathering effort. We gathered many signatures, but unfortunately did not gather enough. There was another effort in 2020. Same thing, unfortunately, not enough signatures were gathered. At the same time, there was a pandemic happening, which made it a bit more difficult. Yeah. And in 2021, we finally saw rent control achieved via ordinance by the city council. Something that many of us that were a part of the very early efforts didn't think would be possible because of who was on the council. But when 2020 happened and we got new council members, those that understood the needs of the community and were able to support rent control, like, we finally saw the policy. And I think for many of us, it's also just a reminder that advocacy can only take us so far if you that helped us get rent control. People that were then not just threatened with the recall, but they actually like went full force with the recall of Jessie, and she was able to defeat that.
Yeah,
and then
Supervisor Sarmiento and other folks, very much a part of that. And yeah, like you said, it was a
we had a great coalition of people on the dais that weren't afraid to stand with rent control, even when it was unpopular, even if it was politically inconvenient. They weren't there. They weren't afraid to stand with the community. So Councilwoman Lopez, now Supervisor Vicente Sarmiento, Councilman Hernandez, and Councilwoman Tai Fan. So I think of rent control, and I just like you said in the last election, not the last one because we had Prop 50, but in 2024 when it was on the ballot, voters overwhelmingly supported rent control. So this went from becoming a policy that was having rent control and the voters saying we support it.
Yeah, and that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about.
Not easily replicated anywhere.
Well, it made me think it's like silly or whatever, but you have to start. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if that didn't go anywhere at the time, I think it did go somewhere. Or it's like a seed or like a ripple, and like those signature gathering efforts, while they didn't exceed directly, I don't think you could have. I think that helped convince the next council to do
definitely.
it.
There was a council that ultimately voted policy victories that the city of Santana has had. While it's ultimately the council that votes in support of them, it's really the work of community members for years and years, and community members that often don't get the credit for that work. So with rent control, it was Tu Santana, Tenente Santana, that led that work. And I can think of just other examples where we see the council and we think, oh, they're so great, and yes, we need them. And at the same time, it was the community that had been fighting for a long time. So I also think that, and I learned this as an organizer, that community often holds the answers. Community members are experts. Their lived experiences provide them with like just knowledge, and they're able to find solutions that we often think might not work, but they can work. We have to be willing to listen. And I just think like what would a council look like that understands that and like truly listens to their constituents and isn't afraid to really consider the solutions that they're proposing.
Yeah, hopefully you can help show us what it looks like. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, like kind of tying into that, like I know you had mentioned, I think in your biography that you worked with building healthy communities. I don't know if that is in line with the housing or what angle did that take? What was that activity?
Yeah, so Santa Ana Building Healthy Communities was a 10-year initiative of the California Endowment, and they essentially picked a few cities throughout the state, and Santana was one of them, where they invested I want to say at least initially $1 million, and to really help improve the community. And we hear building healthy communities, and the building part was very holistic. We thought about the social determinants of health. And when you think about a healthy community, you often think of people that are physically healthy, but what contributes to physical health? That's access to food, that's access to housing, that's access to healthcare. So it's all these things, and a lot of things that are at times also, can be impacted by policy choices. So I was a part of the Santa Ana Building Healthy Communities Initiative. It's where I met people like Jose and many other organizers that were fighting the good fight and are still fighting the good fight. And Santana, in the time that Building Healthy Communities was here, there was so much that was accomplished. And there were things that maybe were not accomplished within that 10-year time frame, but that later came. Things like rent control, things like just cause evictions, things like police oversight and police accountability. Things like Sanctuary City happened during that time. So there's so much that happened with that investment, and I'm proud to still be a part of what later came out of Santa Ana Building Health Communities, which is now Community Hub de Santana, which is its own nonprofit. Proud to be a founding board member there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so...
Okay, we have to add that. I didn't have that on the list somehow.
Sorry, I don't think I provided a complete bio. I was so short.
You need to go on your LinkedIn. I think.
And my LinkedIn's not updated either.
There's even more, folks. Okay.
I asked her for a short bio. She gave me 2 pages, and still she could have given more.
So you don't shy away from process. I mean, you are chair of a board. So
chair of the planning
That's
commission.
something that I worry about new council members, that they don't know. Like, I don't know if it's Robert's Rules of Order, but there's some rules that you take to conduct the meeting.
It's Robert's
You
Rules
know about that.
I learned those in college. I learned those in high school, actually. I was a part of a YMCA.
So you've been doing it for like a... Okay.
Yeah, I did it in high school.
Right.
You were part of what in high school?
Through the YMCA, there's a California Youth and Government mock legislator in court. So I was a part of the Santa Ana delegation. So we had to know Robert's Rules of Order.
Wow.
And then in college, I was in the Latina sorority, and we had to use Robert's Rules of Order. So I've been trained in Robert's Rules of Order since I was like 6 I would be using.
Baby, let's go.
It's been half my life.
Learning.
Robert's Rules of Order.
I'm going to need you to help me, because I'm very much... I don't know. I don't know how to bang my gavel. But that's super important. And, I'm learning, first of all, I've known you, but I'm learning a lot more about you in this quick
you didn't ask me about these things before.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like, you have a whole history before I even met you that I think a lot of folks don't know about you. And I think this is part of what's helpful for us to get to know you, or like as a person that grew up in Santana, went to the schools, and had this whole journey. And this is the type of leadership that we have to invest in and support, because there is so much leadership and potential in our schools, and Santana always gets the bad rap, right? Like, and perhaps we do have challenges like any city does, right? We had a shooting, unfortunately, last night. We have, youth, just engaging in all sorts of stuff. So, but at the same time, like, who better than somebody who was born and raised in the city, that has been in different parts, and could, say like, this is how we could choose a better path. And these are the type of actual policies that we can make happen, because, things are really tough out there, right? Economically speaking, with everything going on. So, people always focus on houselessness and parking, but there's so much in, housing and even healthcare that really plays in. And your role now is, as with an open seat that Peñalosa is abandoning in order to run, now it becomes a position where, you somebody could step in there and really advocate for that community in a way that it hasn't done, frankly, for many years, right? So what are you, like, the ways that in which you see your ward specifically being able to be improved with as councilman, because you've done so much outside of it, but now at council, like, what are some priorities or projects?
Yeah, when I think about some of the things that I'd like to see if and when elected, I think a lot about what the city, we've accomplished a lot over the last 10 years. Especially with the council, when we saw the council change in 2020. And I think a lot about what we can continue to accomplish and what the city of Santa Ana can look like when we move forward in a way that continues to value the people that have made Santana what it is. So these are like the people that laid roots here decades ago, the people that grew up here, the people that have made it the very special cultural hub. I want to ensure that those individuals like my own family members, can continue to not only live in Santana, but also thrive in Santana and reap the benefits of everything that the city has to offer. So I think about that a lot. And for me, when I think about it, I think about things like rent control. Having policies like rent control has meant that many of our families have been able to stay in Santana. When I think a lot about like my own upbringing that I just shared, I spent so much time at the public library. I spent so much time at the Jerome Center. And again, I don't think I would be the person that I am today had I not had access to those literal programs and resources that were offered for youth at the time. Mm-hmm. So I also want to ensure that we can continue to provide those services. And with the moment that we're in right now, it's also time to have people, and we have some great ones on the dais now, but to continue to have people that won't be afraid to govern boldly, that won't be afraid to do so when it's politically inconvenient, and that also won't be afraid to co-govern with the people. Again, people that hold the expertise. And as I'm talking to people now in neighborhoods, I tell them, like, I don't live in your neighborhood. I'm not the expert in your neighborhood issues. So I want to hear from you. I want you to tell me what's not working, what is working, and what would you like to see of your neighborhood? What would you like to see of a council member? And when I've had some of these conversations, one of the big things that has come up, especially in neighborhoods like Madison, Delhi, and Cornerstone, which is a mini street, is that there's a lot of environmental issues. And these are neighborhoods that have also felt like they've been overlooked. They felt like a lot of their issues have gone unaddressed. So when I think about that, I think about the importance for more environmental justice. And Ward 6 is one that has a lot of the city's industrial corridors. So again, those neighborhoods face very different issues than those of us that live on this side of the ward face. So
that's right. No, you really nailed it, and it's exactly the kind of challenges that we need, to address. And where it comes to like rent control, David Peñalosa voted against it, but had you been in that position, you would have voted for it. And
day one.
And other ways in which we have just had flawed leadership, in the pockets of frankly the Police Officers Association, that been the biggest special interest in the city for a long time. It controlled it. Before we jump into a little bit of Espanol, I just wanted to hear your thoughts, because your opponent has received the Police Officers Association endorsement, and other type of peoples that would be like the power players at the state, local level, and so there's going to be a lot of money invested into this campaign. But what are like some of the issues that differentiate you, when it comes to like why it makes you the best candidate?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So when I think about my candidacy, I think again a lot about the just everything in my life that has led me here, but also the people that have led me here. So I had my campaign kickoff / birthday party a few weeks ago. Woo! And I had over 160 people there. And the room was filled with people from Santana, people that looked like Santana. And that means so many different things. I had my high school teacher there. I had my late boxing coach's son there. And just so many people that have really helped shape who I am. And that's the support that I have in this campaign. That's the support that I want. So it's people that have made Santana the beautiful place that it is, people that are neighborhood leaders, organizations that have been serving the city for a very long time. And as I told them that night, when I think of this election, I often think of the power of people, like people power. And we've seen that in Santana, people power can beat big dollars. Mm-hmm. Campaigning is expensive. I am fundraising, and I'm so grateful to everyone that has made a contribution this far. If you haven't and you can, please consider donating. But at the end of the day, we're not, my campaign plan isn't raising hundreds of thousands of dollars. My campaign plan is really leveraging the community support that I have. And I think a lot about Jessie's failed recall attempt, where she was outspent 4-1. But people said, no, like, they can spend all that money. We're not believing their lies. And I told Jessie, and I've told her a lot of times, like, you have shown us what is possible in Santana.
That's true. That is super true.
Absolutely. Bueno, quiero dar un momento para que la gente que habla español y que es una gran parte de nuestra comunidad, ¿no? Somos una población que somos 78% latinos en esta ciudad, muchos mexicanos, mucho inmigrante de raíces de Michoacán y Guerrero y varios, la Ciudad de México y varios lugares, ¿no? Pero tú tienes tus raíces también de Latinoamérica, sí. Pero me gustaría darte un momento para poder tú decir un poquito acerca de quién eres para la comunidad de habla hispana y un poquito de los temas de prioridades para tu campaña.
Sí, claro. Buenas noches, mi nombre es Isuri Ramos. Soy candidata para el Consejo Municipal de la ciudad, para el Área 6. Y como dijo José, yo también soy hija de inmigrantes. Creo que José casi nombró todos los lugares que podría mencionar. Mi familia es de Acapulco, Guerrero, también de Michoacán, de Puebla. Y no somos de la Ciudad de México, pero ahí vivió mi tío, entonces.
Todos.
Casi. Pero sí, mi familia, como muchas, llegó aquí a Santana y cuando llegaron casi hace 4 décadas, llegaron al vecindario Mení. No sé por qué ahí llegaban todos los inmigrantes, pero ahí llegaron. Y allí crecí los primeros años de mi vida. También estuve el resto del tiempo en el vecindario Willard. Y creciendo en ese vecindario, miré la resiliencia que tienen los residentes de Santana, la resiliencia de las personas inmigrantes. En el vecindario había muchas familias de bajos ingresos, muchas familias donde había estatus mixto, tal vez no todos eran ciudadanos, pero yo no pensaba mucho en ello porque esa también era la realidad que yo vivía. Y creciendo ahí, pasando mucho tiempo en la biblioteca pública que estaba a unas cuadras, también siendo parte del club de boxeo del Centro Jerome, yo tuve el beneficio de tener muchas personas que invirtieron su tiempo en mí. Y por esas personas estoy donde estoy ahorita. He llegado a este momento donde me estoy postulando como candidata. En los últimos 10 años he hecho mucho por la ciudad con personas de la comunidad y me postulo sabiendo que cuando me pregunten ¿por qué te postulas o qué has hecho? Yo puedo nombrar muchos ejemplos de hace 10 años muchos logros que hemos hecho. En el vecindario Lacey estuve organizando con un grupo de señoras muy chingonas, señoras que se identifican como vecindario Lacey en acción, y en 5 años pudimos transformar el vecindario. Literalmente, físicamente se transformó. Tenemos un parque nuevo, el Parque Mariposa, que yo creo que si pasan ahorita, ya pasaron de las 9, pero todavía van a ver a familias y niños allí usando el parque. Uh-huh. También hay un centro de bienestar con la escuela Garfield y hay vivienda de bajo costo. Vivienda de bajo costo que es realmente accesible a las rentas más bajas y que también tiene unidades más grandes con 3 y 4 recámaras. Y esas cosas eran muy importantes porque así aseguraríamos que las personas que viven en el vecindario también calificarían para vivir ahí. Y yo ahora vivo muy cerquita del vecindario. Es chistoso porque organicé ahí 5 años y al terminarse mi trabajo me moví muy cerquita del vecindario. Entonces, cada día paso por el vecindario y me da mucha alegría ver cómo ha cambiado, pero cómo ha cambiado de una forma positiva. En una forma que no desplazó a las personas que viven ahí, pero que les agregó mucho al vecindario de una forma que todos se benefician. De una forma donde me ando para aconsejar, lo hago con esa experiencia como organizadora, lo hago siendo una miembro de la Comisión de Planificación de la ciudad, lo hago siendo una líder en los espacios de organizaciones no lucrativas y todos esos logros de más de hace 10 años y todo lo que yo viví como residente, lo que he vivido y continúo a vivir como residente de Santana, me han puesto en un lugar donde hemos llegado a tomar esta decisión, donde hemos decidido, ok, nos vamos a postular. Y no solo nos estamos postulando porque un día decidí yo quiero ser concejal, o porque un día decidí que esta era una etapa necesaria para mí, pero es más que nada lo estoy haciendo porque veo que es una etapa necesaria en mi servicio a la comunidad. Es un paso que estoy tomando porque realmente quiero estar ahí para gobernar con la comunidad, para traer los expertos que son ustedes, para escucharles y para traer soluciones que van a lograr que no solo puedan vivir en Santana, pero que también vivan bien. Y que vivan bien las personas que, como mi familia, hace muchas décadas llegaron a Santana a llamarlo su hogar. Personas que han crecido aquí en Santana y que puedan continuar a vivir aquí y realmente gozar de la ciudad y todo lo que tiene que ofrecer. Vivir aquí y realmente gozar de la ciudad y todo lo que tiene que ofrecer.
Sí, no, es muy bien dicho y es muy importante a través de tu trabajo laboral en la comunidad, el servicio comunitario y que pues muchas de las compañeras, sí, las de Vela, chingonas completamente, es cierto, no hay mejor modo de ponerlo así, mujeres guerreras, líderes que han estado abogando y peleando y luchando contigo y entre ellas mismas organizándose y creando este poder colectivo que tanto se necesita y pues eso habla mucho de ti y el modo en que tú crees y ves la visión del cambio, ¿no? Un cambio que es creado colectivamente en vez de simplemente políticamente porque tienes mucho dinero, tienes mucho poder o tienes muchas influencias con gente de poder, quiere decir que pues tienes tú una mejor petición o ángulo para representar a la comunidad. Tú enseñas que pues una latina, mujer de esta comunidad puede llegar a gran cosas y pelear en contra de los jóvenes para poder prevenir que tengan vayan a los malos pasos, ¿no? Sí, that's it. Entonces, muy bien, gracias. Thank you so much. Good.
Muchas gracias.
I was waiting for you to jump in there, dude.
Yeah,
you left me hanging.
I could jump in English.
How dare you.
In a different language.
Yeah. So, man, this has been such an enlightening conversation, Isuri.
Are we done?
I really appreciate it. No, we're not.
I was like, are we off camera?
No.
Oh, okay. The way you looked at me, I was just like...
No, we're here.
Okay, cool.
So I'm just like, coach switching here.
I know I saw like a next level relaxation. So I was like, wait, did I miss the cue?
No. We're live. We're doing it live. We've never done this English-Spanish thing, although we did do it with Victor Ayades for a hot second, but much shorter than this. So it was great to hear you and speaking to the folks in Espanol, my parents included, and other folks. And it got me to practice my Espanol a lado de mi compatriota.
I need as much practice.
Dylan, and next time he's jumping in.
Yeah. I'm gonna be like, ¿Dónde está? Okay, yeah.
Hey, no, I gotta give a shout out to my Santana High School teachers. One of them was at my kickoff, Señora Garcia. They did AP Language and Lit, and I always thought, how when am I gonna need to know Spanish this well? Well, look at me now.
Look at you now.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's what it means to be a product of Santana Unified School District.
That's right, and and dual immersion.
I didn't have that. Can you imagine?
I know, it's right. Like
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Imagine if I would have been able to go to OSHA. Like I would have been like,
that's
a thespian, a Therian, one of those two.
Basically, right?
Anywho, so this has been really a good conversation, Isuri. I think it's we make jokes here and there, but truth of the matter is you really come with just an extensive resume.
Thank you.
But beyond like all the things that you've done, like academically and community-wise, like, it really just, you were like a great person with a good heart, and that is not in it for like personal glory or, just on a step towards, the next place in your career. This is really personal to you.
Yeah, it's really personal. I love this city. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't love the city. Like this type of step requires that, at least for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, we could continue talking truly for
Yeah.
but I wanted to give
We
you
could nerd out on housing
yeah,
policy,
trust
but
me.
Oh, we
My
can
brother
do
in
that
Christ
another
here.
time. I can tell you all about the housing element and the chapters I wrote.
really awesome.
Yeah. But before we end the show, I just wanted to give you a chance either, to just touch on a final, point that you would like to bring up or any, just final comments before we wrap up this part of the show here today.
Well, yeah. Well, can I jump in on that? Because
Yes.
what do you do for fun though?
That's right. That is important.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, well, first to get to Jose, I love this city. Like, I love Santana. I really do feel like I am a product of this city. Like, I was raised by this city. And there's a lot of, like, deep pride for me in being able to say I'm from Santana. I grew up in Santana. I went to Santana High School, and, like, really, once a saint, always a saint. And, yeah, like, it took that deep love for me to decide to run for Santana City Council. And it's not something that I take lightly, and I take it with a big responsibility to my community. And I'm doing this for my community. And yeah, like that's how we're doing this. That's how we're doing with this campaign. We're doing it with community support. We're doing it for the community. And like when you were talking earlier, when you were talking in Spanish, it just made me think like, all of just like everything that's kind of happened in my life and how much the city has really impacted me. Like, I couldn't think of a better, and that's why I'm doing it. It's more than just running for office for me. Like, I'm doing it out of pure like love and commitment for the city.
Well, we need more people like you who would be willing to do that, especially when people that are connected to the community. Because, I mean, I think that is probably one of the most important parts. Because even there are some council members that maybe I'm not all the way aligned with them politically, but I think their heart is with the community still. And sometimes they pull through on really important stuff. And you're like, hey, they're an honest actor. And then there's some who aren't. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we need more of these honest actors that are invested in the community. So,
Thank you.
indeed.
Absolutely. Hija de Santana. Beautiful. It is true. And that's like, that should be part of like, put that on the shirt.
I
Let's
just
get
can't.
it out.
I mean, thank you for having me here because that just came in when you were talking in Spanish. I was like, wait, why hadn't that came in before?
See.
No, but yeah. And then to answer the what do I do for fun?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, well, no, I guess it is for fun. I'm running a half marathon in 2 weeks.
Woo!
Here you
So
go.
I had almost forgotten with everything else
You
going
just
on.
ran a 5K the other day?
I did the 10.
The 10.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, doing the OC half marathon in 2 weeks. So enjoy running most of the time.
Nice.
But I love doing it with Keep Running Santana. Shout out to y'all if anyone is watching from KRSA. What else? I don't know. I just try to do things that are good for me and that like add life to me in different ways. So the running is cool. I enjoy hiking. So I've done some pretty cool hikes. I've done Half Dome.
Wow.
I did the Incachoto Machu Picchu, and most recently, on my birthday, actually hiked Volcan Fuego in Guatemala. So I like the big adventure.
Yeah.
I like big adventure.
Well, you're
Yeah.
on one right now, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm on
You're
an
climbing the
adventure of its own.
Yeah,
So-
you're free soloing into the Santa Ana City Council.
Basi-
Woo!
Well, I think of all these other hard things I've done, and I'm like, if I've been able to do those,
Yeah, you could.
I can do this one too.
Yeah, take a swing at it.
And this one, I'm not doing it alone. Like, I'm doing it with the community behind me.
Man.
Okay, just a week or two ago, they closed the streets for a running thing. Was that?
That was the city, 5 and 10K.
Were you there or like?
Yeah, I did that.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah, I did the 10K.
Okay, I was trying to connect those. Okay.
I ran 6 miles. So that one, you basically loop the 5K route twice. So on that second loop, I was like, why did I choose the longer distance? I had to remind myself because I'm training for a longer race. And that's what I think about, like this race, literally this council race, where I'm running for council.
Yeah.
It's also like, it's a long race in itself. And I really think that, like, yeah, just all these things I do have like uniquely prepared me for this in many ways.
You've been training.
I've been training.
Race.
Metaphors
For
upon metaphors.
yeah,
No, there's
need
all
more.
these things. Like, there's all these things. And when I was doing this volcano hike most recently, it got very hard because I got sick while doing it.
Oof.
But I thought, like, it was a reminder for me that, you know, I choose to do hard things sometimes, and at times they get harder. but we're still able to accomplish them. So I'm like, if that wasn't all these signs rolled into one for me on my actual birthday, like, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Fine, God, I'll do it. If you insist, fulfill my destiny. No, it feels like that. It really does. Yeah, we get emotional over here, but and it's been really remarkable to see your evolution, your growth over these past 10 plus years that I've known you, and you have so much further to go. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. So La Hija de Santana, can you tell us where folks can find you and donate to you and
yes, you can check out my website. It's called isuriramos.com. Please take a look. My friend built it, and we're so proud of it. There you can learn a bit more about me. You can find my Instagram from there. You can donate. You can also reach out. And yeah, just if you add me on Instagram, we're like trying to be pretty active and just share ways for people to get involved. So happy to talk to anyone. I also reply to DMs if you have any questions. Yeah, when I say like I have the community support, like I'll have people reach out offering to support in different ways, and it's super cool. And I know you also just said, you're a person of faith, so am I. I'm proud to attend New Song Church, where I know you've been to, and yeah, like this journey is also one of faith. And again, like when I say I'm being supported by my community, like that also includes like my faith community. That's reminding me that like this is all a part of like this too is in its own way like spiritual work, and they often ground me and remind me that the work I do like is faith work. Like the work I do is also like serving the community in a way that like Jesus would have. So I'm not gonna get preachy on here, but I think a lot about like
but the good faith. Jesus, not the MAGA one.
Well, when I was hungry and you fed me, and
well, the Jesus that like served and
the real one,
the one that would have been out there protesting with us because
for human rights and to not deport and separate our communities, and those things that seem to be so controversial in this under the regime that we're in, but actually, as you said, like this is the way, and if we
like that,
put that forward,
be kind to your neighbor, like
golden rule,
literally.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's build the world we need and want. And so I'm excited for it. And it takes belief in yourself, believe in a higher power, and the belief in the community to come together.
When the communities believe in me, like that's what led me here.
Circle.
Yeah, it's like
without the community support, I wouldn't be doing
got you. You got me. Let's go. We got us. So yeah, I'm excited because there's a lot in the world that we can't control. God knows it, but like here in Santana and you and when I hear you and when I hear other folks that are, really standing up to the powers that be and standing with community, Sandra and others that you mentioned, it just warms my heart and gives like, yes, si se puede, a new world is possible, and we just gotta, support our homegrown leaders and mujeres and all sorts of folks that are putting it down for our community. So, Isuri, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you all for having me.
And this was not your first show. This is your second show, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I came on a few years ago. You all have seen me when I was younger, maybe like 7 years younger.
Yeah, I think
8.
so. Yeah. But I recall now. So friend of the show officially. Yeah. Thank you so much. So holy moly, that was a great.
It was a good one.
That was a good one. It was one for the ages. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely need a candidate like this in this ward, all the wards. So kudos to all the community members that do stand up and undertake this, because it don't pay well. Okay.
No, it doesn't. I just reminded someone. They're like, my new business owner friend sells jewelry, and he's like, you can buy some stuff. I was like, well, let me tell you, I'm gonna need a full-time job beyond that.
Not on this stipend.
And when he heard that, he's like, oh wow, so like people really do this because they care. I was like,
they care.
That's why I'm doing it.
Or because they care to get linked up with future good jobs. And
depends. It depends your route. You can take. Yeah, but it's tough.
The Pulido
I can tell you mine.
Allegedly.
Yeah, we know where you're going.
Yeah. It's crazy what people do in positions of power. But we desperately need less politicians and more public servants, and that's the kind of world that we can start, and we can want and pray and hope for all sorts of things. But we have to get organized, and we have to oppose and propose, the world that we want versus the world we have, into the world that we need, and we need to bring forth into the world. But
Oh yeah.
God knows we are on it and trying to do our best here,
Indeed.
to inform the community about the issues that are impacting us here in Santa Ana, Orange County, and all around the world. So I want to thank audio video engineer Edgar Silva for being an awesome audio video engineer.
Oh yeah.
Iron Lion Media, putting it down for 4 years.
I work on inside.
Yeah, a little of everything.
Yeah.
Always helping us set up here, doing the Lord's work to make us look good and sound good and feel good, smell good. Yeah, and that whatever.
Etc.
Yeah.
Any verb.
James Brown said. I won't
Hit me.
Hit me 2 times. I was like, oh.
like,
Edgar's
whoa.
like, keep it down. That's
Like,
way too loud. And also Dylan Thompson for holding it down as well. We are here doing it well.
Making it happen.
We're looking forward to all sorts of amazing interviews coming up in the coming weeks. And just stay safe, everybody. Drink water, stay hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
Love somebody, and meditate. Truly, it helps. Find your inner peace, baby.
We need that.
Yeah, in every which way.
More than ever.
So without further ado, from Dylan Thompson and Jose Gloria and all of us on It's Happening family, we are signing off.
It's happening.
Boom.
Insert music.